it's me, your boy Blue Gets again, and today I'll be talking about the new vampire cards from one of the newest sets coming out in the OCG. And so far, we've gotten three new vampire cards, so I'm just gonna go over them right now. First off, we have Vampire Ghost Ogre, and it's a level 3 dark zombie effect monster with 1500 attack and 0 defense. And you can only use its first and second effect once per turn. If this card is normal summoned, and just normal summoned, you can send one other vampire card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard as cost. By the way, that is cost. You cannot ash it, as much as people would love to. I mean, technically you can ash this effect, but just not the cost. Anyways, for the effect, it reads add one level 4 or reading. And also, I don't know why I phrased it like that. But anyways, add one level 4 or higher vampire monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, send one level 2 or lower vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card is just ridiculously good. Like, it has no business being this good so far. I mean, just normal summon this thing, you can send your retainer or familiar to the graveyard. As cost, mind you. Add a vampire that's level 4 or higher, basically any of the vampires you actually want to just tribute summon. And yes, I say tribute summon because this card actually makes facilitating tribute summons in the vampire deck pretty good. And then if you do, you can also send another level 2 or lower vampire monster. Also notice how they say level 2 or lower. You might as well just get rid of that clause and just say, hey, send a familiar or retainer from the deck to the graveyard, because to my knowledge, those are the only monsters that actually meet that requirement. Unless Konami plans on making another level 2 or lower vampire monster. Anyways, for the second effect, it reads during the main phase, quick effect, which is nice because this works really well with cards like Vampire Vamp. You can banish this card from your graveyard and pay 500 life points. Immediately after this card resolves, normal summon one vampire monster. Also, I think this works really well with Domain as well, because with Vampire Domain, you could still normal summon it. And wait, actually, I'm not entirely sure how that works. No, never mind. I might be wrong about that. Because I was thinking you could potentially conduct another normal summon, but that's just me being stupid and not reading or remembering cards. Either way, that card is ridiculously good. Next, we have the Undead Vampire, and it's a rank 8 dark zombie Xyz effect monster with 3000 attack and 2800 defense, and its material requires 2 plus level 8 monsters. If you use a monster with a level that is owned by your opponent for the Xyz summon of this card, treat it as a level 8. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect reads, neither player can target this card with effects of monster special summon from anywhere other than the graveyard. At first I was like, this is nice, but I noticed it says this card cannot be, neither player can target this card. So it doesn't even have the benefit of, it doesn't really have the benefit of being unaffected by monsters that weren't summoned from the graveyard. But it specifies target. That's kind of lame, especially in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's still nice to have anyways. Second effect is you can attach one material from this card, send the top 4 cards of each player's deck to the graveyard, and if a monsters was sent to the graveyards with this effect, you can special summon one of them to your field. This effect is decent. I don't like the idea of milling my opponent's deck. Again, this feels like a card that came out. This feels like a card that would have came out years ago. Given that it focuses on milling, as well as its weird lackluster protection effect, but it is what it is, I guess, and it does allow you to special summon a monster. That's reading. Not really reading, but speaking. Thus actually allowing you to meet the requirements to summoning your other Xyz monster. Granted, that other Xyz monster is way better to summon than this thing. So take it for what it is. And lastly, we have Vampire Fascinator. And it's a level 3 dark zombie link effect monster with 2400 attack, with top, bottom left, bottom right arrows. And its material requires 2 monsters, including a zombie monster. If this card is link summoned, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard. You cannot special summon monsters other than special summon other monsters for the rest of this turn except zombie monsters. Also special summon the targeted monster to your field in defense position. Second effect, you contribute 1 vampire monster, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end of this turn. Basically, this card just allows you to steal a lot of cards, a lot of monsters your opponent controls, allowing you to go into your Xyz monsters very easily. But this is pretty costly just for a Link 3. I mean, this is pretty costly, due to this card being a Link 3. And I don't even think vampires can easily facilitate this. I mean, let me take that back. They can, especially due to Ghost Ogre, since you can easily get Familiar and Retainer out onto the field using Ghost Ogre's effect, but I'm not sure if it would be worth summoning this card, especially over a card like Vampire Sucker. Again, I'm still surprised that's the name they actually went with. But yeah, that card is still better than this card, in my opinion. But anyways, tell me what you guys think about the new Vampire support, and it's been me, your boy Blue Gets Guy, and I'm out.